food supply chains in Guyana, improving market linkages, improved packaging, etc., are among areas to be looked at going forward as Guyana and the World Food Programme seek to realize closer working relationships amidst various challenges. This was the thrust of discussions held this past week between Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa and Country Director of the World Food Programme Caribbean Multi-Country Office, Mr. Brian Bogart, during the latter's courtesy call on the minister at his Regent Street head office. During that meeting, the two officials discussed areas of mutual interest that are focused on further developing Guyana's agriculture sector.
There are challenges in mobilizing external resources for Guyana at the moment for entities like ourselves to then invest in the country. So if we are going to be able to do something that would really make a difference, we need to have really good ideas, and we need to have perhaps strong co-design with the government and really complement and amplify some of the project ideas that would make sense to you. What we are thinking about is, we work very closely with FAO. They're a very strong partner for us. And we had some really good conversations yesterday. And this continued actually in our meeting with the Minister of Finance about the fact that a lot of the challenges in the sector relate not just to production, but to the next stages in the value chain. And if we're talking about the interior and more isolated communities, for example, food security, but market-based solutions, then there are issues around packaging, processing, supply chains, including cold chains, and these kinds of intermediary stages between the production level and the retail or consumer or even export markets at some stage. And we have a strong capacity in supply chain globally. And it's mostly historically been about emergency response. But we also move a lot of food around the world, and we procure a lot of food. Mostly, I would say most of that procurement is in the sub-Saharan African context, to a degree in Asia as well. Not as much in the Caribbean or Latin America, just because the programs that we have are not
directly linked to this part of the world.
Exactly, yeah. When it comes to distribution of food commodities, right? But that global perspective and capacity, I think, provides us with a toes in the mud, feet on the ground perspective on trying to solve some of these challenges. We'd be keen to, take back some of the ideas that we come up with from this mission and see how we can begin to develop maybe some project ideas and table those with donors. We know that agriculture and food security are key priorities for the government of Ghana, and we know that links also to a broader CARICOM agenda, 25+5,
right.
etc. So we also recognize that Ghana plays an outsized role in agriculture production for CARICOM itself, and there's a huge opportunity there. So we'd be keen to just understand your perspective on these things. One of the ideas we had was to think about how to find maybe some of the more remote and isolated communities, or at least upcountry areas, and work regionally to try and address some of the supply chain or cold chain challenges, and see how those sorts of solutions developed closely with private sector actors could be catalytic and could be models for the government to replicate in other parts of the country.
Minister Mustafa told the visiting World Food Programme official that his visit is a timely one and that his ideas gel perfectly with the vision of the Guyana government in moving the agriculture sector forward on all fronts.
What you are saying there is exactly in line with our objective. You see, His Excellency the President, he wants us to have projects that will impact people's lives. And when you look at the different sectors of the population, for example, single parent, young people, indigenous community, those are the groups we can classify that you are talking about. And the entire food chain that we're talking about. Because for too long, and I agree with you, places like Guyana and most particularly rural communities have been doing the primary forms of production, and we have to move away from that and improve what we have. So we have started that. As a matter of fact, since I became Minister of Agriculture, we have built 13 agro-processing facilities across this country. And not only in the urban centers, but places like the Deep South in Region 9, so that we can link those farmers with the entire food chain system that we want, the entire. So like yesterday, I had a discussion with a group that now we are working, we'll be setting up, because what we have different crops being with different groups in rural communities, and as you rightly mentioned. So our objective is to ensure that we move this process not from primary to value added. So the entire system that we want to put in place. So what places like Parika, a place like Parika, that is in Region 3, almost in SQN, to the SQN. I'm setting up a flour mill to process the cassava, because they are reaping cassava by ton, a lot over there. I'm doing an indigenous flour line for the coming out of the interior. I'm putting up a line for the ginger and turmeric coming out of Region 1. So those things will be processed in that area there. So we'll link the farmers directly and then to the market also that we work with. So the entire system we are setting up. So the objective and what you are saying fall in line with our objective. What we are doing in Guyana, as you rightly said. And we want programs, and we are saying the President is very passionate about this, that when the Ministry of Agriculture do a program, it must be impactful, it must be a program or a project that change people's life, bring betterment for the people. So like the rural women, the single parents, we started the Cut Rose project. We brought in the flour, we setting up the flour, we do it under the shade house, we selling the flour to them for a small amount, and they go back in the market and make 200-300% out of that, so they can get an income, a steady income. Right? We process the cassava, we purchase the ginger and turmeric, and we process it, we package it, we send it to the various countries in the Caribbean, as you rightly said, the Guyanese have now a food supplier in terms of these commodities, and that is the kind of way we do it. We brought these cold storage trucks that we bringing out produce from the interior when we want it, so that it's coming out straight and bring it out to the process. And also, like for example, in a place that you might have known, a place in Region 9 called St. Ignatius, we set up a processing plant there. We got a vibrant women's group who are now doing peanut butter coming out of St. Ignatius. We set up one in Whitewater in Region 1. All right, one in Whitewater in Region 1. So where the women, the indigenous women, working there to do all the crops there, to process it, right? Working with the farmers in Oriala, Siparuta. So different parts of the country, we are setting up these agro-processing facilities, and also so we are hoping that what you are saying exactly that we are doing in terms of add value to the and we complete the entire food chain.
The Agriculture Minister later described the meeting as very informative, one that has laid the groundwork for future engagements and closer working relationships with the World Food Programme.